What's good, gente? Thank you guys once again, like always, for tuning in. As you guys can see on the thumbnail and on the title, right? And just as a matter of fact, just before I get into all that, let me make this clear. This is something that I no longer participate. I don't push this stuff. Nothing like that, right? But this was something that the gente wanted to know a little bit more about, and especially because they wanted me to get into a little bit more about me, and stop talking about other content creators because they felt that, they felt a little way about it. So I'm gonna give them what they want. So as you guys can see on the title, man, how I became part of a prison gang, even though they don't like to be considered a prison gang. It is what it is. That's exactly what it is. You could say that it's not, but in all reality, it's a prison gang. But I'm gonna be talking about my experience pretty much in San Quentin and how I ended up becoming a gang member in prison. It is what it is. It's not something that I'm proud of. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna leave some comments like, "Hey, fool, woo, woo. Hey, dale gas, homie." Just make sure to hit a like and subscribe and anything that helps out the channel, bro. I highly appreciate. And like I said, man, on this platform, you guys are always welcome to speak your mind. And I actually want to know what you guys think, bro. But this is what ended up happening in San Quentin. When I ended up showing up to San Quentin, I was not a part of the Norteño Riders at that time. I was just a regular, what you would consider a defected norteño, a no good norteño, a dropout. I mean, there's plenty of names that people have for him, but that was technically what I was. I wasn't placed somewhere in San Quentin where they had all the weirdos and stuff like that. I never made it to Alpine, even though there's a lot of good stuff that I did hear about the people that were there, because there were some people that were there that I was cool with and that they actually enjoyed their time there, bro, especially since they were able to stick their hands outside their cell. They ain't have to worry about a whole little like a grill, just blocking your thing and your view and just messing up with the whole fishing, man. And for the people that don't know what fishing is in prison, bro, it's pretty much how you communicate with people in other cells, and you just don't want other people to be all up in the business. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you would communicate. We can get into all that, man. But you tie up a string made out of your boxers, and then there's different ways of making a car. Some people use Folgers jars. Some people use toothpaste. Some people use deodorants. If you want to go hella far, there's multiple ways of actually fishing in prison, but it's technically a way to communicate with others, like I said, and not putting your business all out there. There's some things, man, that I mean, that would have been cool, you know what I'm saying? Because I know where I was at. All right, they didn't have those privileges, man. You really had to struggle, and you really knew you had to know how to fish, bro, to get around right there, especially because of the grill. But me personally, like I said, man, I was always in Badger, Donner, Carson. Carson and Donner were pretty much the whole. So anytime that we would catch a fade with somebody, or let's just say when it went all bad, your boy would end up over there. But technically, I was always right there in Badger. That happened to be a spot where it was technically split, bro. It was two tiers that were pretty much dropouts, Northern Rioters, and just fools that would be considered a threat, to some of these other inmates. And the other tiers were technically actives, bro. It was norteños, blacks, and a small section of sureños and paisas, But majority of them happened to be norteños. There was a lot of norteños that I actually knew that were on the first tier and shit. But just being placed in that little section, well, my neighbors, they were all Northern Riders. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't someone that, just because I seen that there was a lot of Norteño riders, right there, that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna join these fools, or for protection or anything like that. I was actually approached a couple of times to be a part of their gang and shit like that, and I actually had said no, that I was actually good and I was just doing my time, and I honestly regret, not just doing that, because in our reality, man, that would have probably been one of the best decisions I would have made, because I would have probably gotten out here, I would have paroled, and I wouldn't have had some of the drama that I ended up having, bro, just because I was part of that. But I did end up joining a couple months after me being there in San Quentin. You guys got to remember, when I was in county, I was placed in a spot where there was a lot of riders, and they were all getting sent to prison. So when I was right there in prison, all them fools ended up showing up. And I was kicking it, bro. I was just kicking it with them. All the homies from my area, all the fools that were considered to, you know what I mean, not to be weirdos and shit like that. Hey, they happen to be part of the Norteño Riders. So me kicking it with them, and after a couple of months of them getting off, because that's something that happens a lot in reception. And I honestly think that it's in every reception, you know what I'm saying? Any little chance that people get to go outside, they're running fades. And that was something that was going down. There was a lot of fades that were always like cracking in San Quentin, bro. So anytime that one of my boys or someone that I was near, that I fuck with, that would get off, I would jump in, bro. So it kind of got to the point where people already had me labeled as a norteño rider, like, oh, this fool's a norteño rider, when technically I was a friend of the fellas. That's what they call people that are not riders, but that the actual riders will back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they fuck with you so much that they got your back, and they kind of see you as one of their own, but not really. Like, you're not part of their thing, but they got your back. And I was technically like consider that. I was a friend of the fellas, and I would get off. Anytime they would get off, I would get off. There was a couple of times where the riders weren't able to get to somebody, and I knew that they had funk with them, so I would just do it. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, man, fuck it, like it's nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got it. So after some time of doing that, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I was like, man, fuck it. I was like, I'm just gonna see what's up. So I ended up asking some of the homies that I had right there, like, hey, what the whole get down was, what was requested as a member, what you had to do, and just just the simple stuff, like get a little bit more knowledge of who I'm kicking it with, and shit like that. So of course they ended up shooting me the things, and they were like, man, hey, just think about it, bro. It's nothing, like, it was nothing pressured on me, like, oh, you have to, you know what I'm saying? So I read it. I ended up liking the get down, the whole thing, or at least how it used to be. I know things have changed. The whole certified thing, it went a little bit too extreme. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I have gone through that with you guys in the past, but it ended up changing a lot. But technically, as just being part of Norteño Rider was technically just like if I was already getting jumped into my neighborhood. To be quite honest, man, they had pretty much the same things, bro. One gets off, we all get off. I mean, it's common sense. They pretty much said not who we don't kick it with, we don't associate, who don't we don't sell up with, what we don't allow, what we do, and shit like that. It was common sense, bro. So I ended up actually liking it, and I ended up taking that step, bro. To actually becoming a norteño rider. Um, like I said in the beginning of the video, this is something that I no longer participate in. I don't push this movement no more, nothing like that. I was a member for quite some time, to be quite real, since 2010 all the way to what, 2022, 23. So I was a member for quite some time. For the day oneers, you guys know how it all went down. You know what I'm saying? It was something that I was upfront about you on YouTube. It did go south, and I had just ended up deciding, but hey, you know what? Maybe it's time to just let it go. And I can honestly say, man, that was honestly the best decision that I could have made, straight up. I did have the option, to technically split the group, because there was a good section of riders that, hey, man, they were willing, bro, like, hey, bro, we got your back. And they were kind of tired of the whole Snoop thing. But in all reality, it wasn't in my books, bro. And it wasn't something that I wanted to put or wanted to see. Because in all reality, I want to see some of my boys that happen to be doing time get into some drama, catch more time, catch cases. Because, hey, shit gets real in prison just because of, a misunderstanding that two people had on social media. So I was like, man, I'm good. In all reality, I'm doing great. And like I said, man, I don't regret doing what I did. So I did end up stepping back. I will be talking about other stuff, of course, but I pretty much ended up joining, bro, just because I was kicking it with them on the daily. There was a good section of them, man, that I actually considered really good friends. There's like three or four, man, that actually were there for right from the beginning that I'm still cool with till this day. They're no longer pushing that no more neither. But there's a couple of foods that I was really cool with. So just because of the people that I was around, they ended up actually, I guess, influencing me to become part of that. So something that I mean I should have done, and for like anyone that's listening, or because I mean I know there's people that may listen to this video, and eventually, hey, you might go through a situation like that, right? In our reality, I should have just kept it cool with them. I should have been cool with them. I should have just did my time and stayed out the way. I would have got out actually earlier, to be quite honest. But hey, everything happens for a reason. It is what it is. I don't regret being part of that. If I could have gone back, of course, like I was telling you guys, I should have just kicked it, homie. In our reality, for the ones that are listening, you don't have to join something to be cool with certain people, or for certain people to have your back. You don't technically have to be part of that group. So that's something that I should have done a little bit different. But hey, so everything happens for a reason. It is what it is. The only way people learn is by either getting involved, and that's what ended up happening. But hopefully, there's someone out there listening, and hey, you don't have to get involved. So with all that being said, man, I will get into some other videos about riders, because I was told like, hey, bro, why did riders have a lot of fools that were considered rats, snitches, and just all bad, right? Like, what happened? I thought you guys didn't allow that type of people. Well, I will get into some of those videos in the next couple of days, so stay tuned. Some other fire videos coming. So yeah, gente, with all that being said, make sure to hit a like, subscribe if you haven't. And you guys already be knowing, man. It's your boy Conejo, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. We out.